The Rock should come clean right now. There's not a fucking chance in hell he's clean.
Why would you do that when there's video evidence showing that you're not? Why can't The Rock, for once in his life, simply tell us the truth? Think he got all that muscle because he's the hardest worker in the room, because he's up at 4:30? We've seen The Rock's workouts, using those bikini girl weights. Or is it the steroid?
Actually come off steroids. Now, love him or hate him, this guy is on the top of the charts when it comes to fake naturals. He's right up there with Mike O'Hearn.
Today, we're diving into the life of Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. From dominating the WWE ring to crushing the box office, this man turned pure hustle into global superstardom. Muscle and movies. How did he do it? What made him unstoppable? And why is he one of the most electrifying icons on the planet? Buckle up, this is gonna be big.
Because The Rock's been lying.
For most of his time under the bright lights, The Rock was known as a straight-up physical monster.
However, the show looks like it's finally coming to an end. He recently found out that he had plaque buildup in his circumflex artery from his decades of gear use.
The kind of guy who looked carved out of stone, like a living statue that sucked all the air out of the room the second he walked in. At his absolute peak, he was pushing past 300 pounds of stacked muscle, and that weight wasn't random at all. That size sent a message, loud and clear. Being huge wasn't just his look, it was the whole business plan. Larger than life wasn't some cute slogan, it was the backbone of his entire rise to fame.
Why lie about it being your first time in a fast food chain?
This is the very first time that I have ever tried an In-N-Out burger.
But now, something's got fans side-eyeing hard. Fresh photos started flooding the internet, and suddenly he looks way smaller, slimmer, lighter, almost like a whole different version of the guy people thought they knew. New photos started popping up online, and The Rock looks noticeably smaller, almost like a different person. Reports are saying he's dropped over 60 pounds, and there's no hiding it at all. That oversized comic book muscle look is gone, swapped out for a leaner, more average build that caught everyone off guard. Nobody had that on their bingo card. Even his face looks different now. Sharper edges, slimmer lines, and that thick, blocky presence that once screamed dominance just isn't hitting the same anymore. The internet split fast. Some people are saying he looks healthier, more relaxed, like someone who finally stepped off the gas after years of non-stop pressure. Others aren't buying that story for a second. They're saying without that massive frame, he doesn't pop the same way. A lot of fans straight up said it feels like he lost the thing that made him The Rock.
I had been very fortunate to have the career that I've had over the years and make the films that I've made. There was just voice inside of me, the little voice said, well, what if I could do more, and I want to do more, and what does that look like?
And of course, the jokes came flying in instantly. Memes everywhere saying he went from the rock to the pebble. Laughs aside, there's a serious question people can't dodge. His size has always been a hot topic. He's admitted before that when he was younger, he experimented with performance-enhancing substances, and plenty of people online believe that chapter might not be fully closed.
Well, let's get you on this medication. It's a multi-month medication, and here we go. We got to get on it right away.
Now, at 53, reality hits way different. A body can only eat so much pressure before it starts clapping back. Dropping weight this hard could be about protecting his health and dodging long-term damage, plain and simple. But let's be real, it could also be a smart move. For years, Hollywood treated him like a guaranteed money-printing machine. Same vibe, same roles, same unstoppable powerhouse on repeat. That kind of safety can turn into a cage real quick. Slimming down might be his escape route, a way to break free and finally chase roles that don't depend on him being the biggest dude in every frame. Now the question is loud and clear. Is The Rock ready to flip the script on Hollywood, on his image, and on everything people thought they knew about him? Earlier this month, he pulled up to the Venice Film Festival for his new movie, The Smashing Machine, and right away it was clear this wasn't business as usual. No flashy explosions, no loud one-liners, no glossy action movie energy. This was something totally different. The film is a character-driven story centered on Mark Kerr, a dominant MMA fighter from the late 90s who shot up fast and crashed even faster. Heavy story, raw energy, no safety net. Once addiction and personal struggles take over, the story gets gritty fast. It's uncomfortable, raw, and miles away from the safe, polished roles Dwayne usually plays. This wasn't a feel-good setup or a hero win story. The project was directed by Benny Safdie, with Emily Blunt cast as Kerr's wife, and from the jump, Dwayne did not play it safe for even 1 second. He fully transformed his body to match Kerr's intimidating build and went all in with heavy facial prosthetics on his nose, brow, cheeks, and jaw. The goal was simple: disappear completely. For the first time in his career, he wasn't selling the Rock brand at all. No winking at the audience, no charm as a shortcut, no invincible superhero energy. He wasn't trying to be liked, he was trying to be real. He wanted to become someone else entirely, and that's a risky lane. When the movie premiered in Venice, the reaction said everything. The crowd stood up and applauded for over 15 minutes straight. He looked stunned, visibly emotional, fighting back tears while it was happening. Critics didn't just throw out light praise either. They called the performance vulnerable and career-defining. Some even compared it to The Wrestler and Raging Bull. That's brand new territory for him. For once, he wasn't being talked about as a box office cheat code. At the press conference, he admitted this was the kind of respect he'd been chasing for years.
And I made those movies, and I liked them, and they were fun, and some were really good and did well, and some not so good.
What really jumps out here is the role itself. This isn't just another character, it's a straight-up mirror held to everything Dwayne avoided on screen for years. Mark Kerr represents loss, weakness, addiction, and public collapse, all the things his on-screen persona stayed far away from. Kerr was a champion, yeah, but also a man who unraveled right in front of everyone. No hiding, no polish, no escape. For someone whose old contracts literally made sure he could never lose a fight on screen, stepping into that reality is a massive shift. That's not a small tweak, that's a full reset. This marks a hard break from the old formula that kept him untouchable for decades. Dwayne has said for years he wanted to do something different, but the real question hits now. Why now? For most of his career, he's basically been playing himself with a new outfit each time. Whether it was Fast and Furious, Jumanji, San Andreas, or Jungle Cruise, it always felt like the same version. Same energy, same wins, same outcome. This role flips all of that on its head.
Using and abusing performance-enhancing drugs for years, and what do you think that does?
What really stands out here is the role itself. This isn't just another character, it's a full-on collision with everything Dwayne spent years avoiding on screen. Mark Kerr represents loss, weakness, addiction, and public collapse. All the things his on-screen image stayed far away from. Kerr was a champion, yeah, but also a man who unraveled right in front of everyone. No filters, no safety net, no clean win. For someone whose contracts once made sure he could never lose a fight on screen, stepping into that reality is a massive shift. That's not a tweak, that's a full rewrite of the rules. This marks a hard break from the old formula that kept him bulletproof for decades. Dwayne has said he wanted to do something different for years, but the real question is loud now. Why now? For most of his career, he's basically been playing himself with different costumes each time. Whether it was Fast and Furious, Jumanji, San Andreas, or Jungle Cruise, it always felt like the same version. Same energy, same wins, same outcome. This role flips all of that on its head. That formula became his calling card. It wasn't just about size, it was about being untouchable. His movies weren't built around deep characters, they were built around a product. And while that product pulled massive crowds worldwide, it didn't earn him real respect as an actor. Still, the system worked again and again. He climbed to the top, became the highest paid actor in Hollywood, built a global brand around one unbreakable image. That's why this sudden shift feels so shocking. The weight loss, the darker roles, the heavier tone, something clearly forced a reset. And part of that reset might be health-related. Just months ago, Dwayne appeared on Dr. Mark Hyman's podcast and opened up about a serious health scare. He revealed doctors initially thought one of the arteries in his heart might be blocked. That news hit hard enough that he immediately got a second opinion. After advanced AI scans, doctors confirmed there was no plaque at all. Still, that moment clearly shook him, enough to change everything. On paper, it was labeled a harmless irregularity. Everything technically checked out fine. But scares like that don't just disappear, especially at 53. When heart disease even enters the conversation, time starts feeling real fast. Limits get loud. You can't ignore them anymore. He's pushed his body to extreme levels for decades, and that kind of wear doesn't come free.
What looked to be some stuff inside the
Like a buildup of
like
what
a
they thought was
buildup,
plaque.
what they thought
And
was
they-
plaque
yeah.
in the circumflex valve.
Now here's the part that really stood out. The podcast ran close to 40 minutes. They covered gut health, nutrition, genetics, and heart risk factors in detail. But there was one thing missing completely. Not a single mention of steroids or performance-enhancing substances. Not once. For someone whose physique has been questioned for years, that silence spoke louder than anything he actually said. That didn't happen by accident. That episode now has over half his viewers smashing the dislike button, and the comments section tells the real story instantly. Scroll for 5 seconds and you'll see the same question popping up again and again. How do you talk for almost 40 minutes about your health and completely dodge the one thing everyone's thinking about? People aren't clueless. They know if there's one factor that could have put serious strain on his body over the years, it's PED use. Whether he ever admits it publicly or not, that conversation has followed him his entire career, and moments like this just pour gasoline on it. Ignoring it didn't make the noise die down. If anything, it cranked the volume way up. One Instagram user even dropped a breakdown video, zooming in on changes in Dwayne's physique and claiming the weight loss came from stepping off gear. What shot people wasn't even the video itself, it was what happened next. The Rock jumped straight into the comments and shut it down hard, saying it was 100% not true. That kind of response is rare for him. He almost never jumps into random online speculation like that, which made it feel like that comment hit a nerve. According to Dwayne, the weight loss has nothing to do with health scares or steroids at all. He says it's purely for his next project. That project is a film called Lizard Music. In it, he plays an eccentric, older character known as the Chicken Man, a role that calls for a slimmer, more fragile look. No comic book muscle, no superhero frame. On paper, that explanation actually lines up, especially after bulking hard for the Smashing Machine. Slimming down now serves two purposes at once. It lets him step into a completely different kind of role, boosting his credibility as a serious actor, and at the same time it gives him a clean reason to drop size without openly diving into health concerns. Still, a lot of people online aren't buying it. At 53, after decades of physical punishment, fans are side-eyeing hard. The questions aren't stopping anytime soon. Carrying that much muscle long-term just isn't realistic. Longtime fans feel like they can see straight through the official explanation. One commenter pushed it even further, claiming Dwayne may have been warned by a doctor that staying on gear could raise his risk of a heart attack. Others started drawing comparisons to Hulk Hogan, another wrestling legend whose career was built on massive size and who later passed away at 71 from heart-related issues. That kind of comparison sticks, especially when you've lived in the same world, followed a similar path, and now you're deep into your 50s. Seen through that lens, the timing of Dwayne's dramatic weight loss feels less like coincidence and more like self-preservation. People aren't ignoring the dots anymore.
Category and into a corner, and this is your lane, and this is what you do, and this is what people want you to be, and this is what Hollywood wants you to be.
But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Going from years of extreme physical strain to suddenly cutting everything cold doesn't just make someone smaller. It can shock the system hard.
In the artery, yeah.
In the artery, right? And then when we looked at that on the old school traditional MRI and the scans, it looked like I had buildup.
Aside from building a freaking physique such as this, it also causes a host of negative side effects.
That's why many believe this wasn't a full stop at all. More likely, it was a scale back, lower intensity, more sustainable habits, enough to stay solid without pushing his body to the edge every single day. That slimmer look might be opening fresh doors in Hollywood, but it may have quietly shut one somewhere else. Dropping that much size doesn't just change how casting directors look at him, it changes how fans see him in an entirely different arena. Earlier in 2024, Dwayne stepped back into WWE storylines and even headlined WrestleMania alongside Roman Reigns. That moment had the crowd buzzing loud. Supporters of Cody Rhodes were convinced a full in-ring return was on the way. The idea of The Rock back for a serious run felt real. But after seeing him in Venice, that hype cooled fast. Without the bulk, some of that larger-than-life presence just fades. A promo still works, a surprise cameo still hits, but carrying a WrestleMania main event the way he once did, that now feels like a stretch. One fan summed it up perfectly, saying it's hard to be the final boss when you're half the size you used to be. Without that towering presence, he's no longer the unstoppable wall everyone remembers. A Rock versus Cody Rhodes showdown, or even Rock versus Roman Reigns doesn't hit the same now. A couple years ago, it felt massive. Today, the energy feels different. The aura isn't gone, but it's definitely changed. And knowing what's been said about Dwayne's pride, it's hard to picture him stepping into a face-off where he looks visibly smaller than the guy standing across from him. Image has always mattered to him. Presence mattered. That dominant visual was part of the power.
Can increase LDL, lower HDL, and does a host of negative things to your body. Hence, The Rock had to make a change, or he wouldn't be able to change ever again because he'd no longer be with us.
And more comfortable in his own skin. For Batista, that comfort was just a bonus. The real mission was survival and longevity. And it's no coincidence that his transformation lined up with Dwayne's at the same stage of life.
Is at 50?
The last few years, he's definitely like turned it up a notch.
At 50.
Yeah.
That's natural, bro.
Yeah, how could you think otherwise?
Eats a lot of sushi.
Yeah.
That's where the comparison really gets interesting. Because even though they've landed in similar physical places, their Hollywood paths couldn't be more different from the jump. Batista never chased fame the way Dwayne did, and that difference matters a lot. Yeah, he broke out big with Guardians of the Galaxy, but instead of cashing in with copy-paste action roles, he went the opposite direction. No non-stop explosions, no easy wins. He deliberately linked up with directors who cared about performance, depth, and character, not just opening weekend numbers. That's how he landed in films like Blade Runner 2049, Dune, and Knives Out. Those roles didn't turn him into a cartoon action hero. They gave him credibility, real respect in serious film circles. Batista became a household name quietly. No hype machine, no forced image. Critics took him seriously. Directors trusted him. And that slow, intentional path changed how Hollywood looks at him entirely.
Night, they were chanting Rocky sucks. I had to smile through it. The bosses were telling me, no, you gotta smile. Now keep smiling, ignore it.
He stopped being seen as just a former wrestler with muscles and started being viewed as a legit actor who could fully disappear into a role. Batista approaches acting like a student. He's willing to look foolish, uncomfortable, or even weak if that's what the character demands. That mindset is rare, and it shows on screen every single time. For Dwayne, it's always been different. His choices have usually been about optics. How dominant does he look? How untouchable is the character? How many tickets does it sell? How does it feed the brand, the businesses, the machine built around his name? Ego has always been part of that equation, and that's exactly why the timing of The Smashing Machine and Lizard Music feels so telling.
We're in Hollywood, as we all know, and it had become about box office. And you chase the box office. And the box office in our business that we know is very loud.
Just 2 projects, he swung to opposite extremes, bulking up to play Mark Kerr, then slimming down to portray a fragile older man. On the surface, those moves look contradictory, but at the core, they're the same play. A calculated attempt to conquer the one thing that's always slipped through his fingers. Because no matter how dominant his box office run has been, no matter the fame, no matter the money, there's still one label that's followed him everywhere. He's never fully earned that one label, credible actor. And the cracks in his old formula were already starting to show. Black Adam was sold as his passion project, the movie that was supposed to reshape the entire DC universe. Instead, it collapsed hard. Reports painted a messy picture. Behind the scenes, he was allegedly pushing for Henry Cavill's Superman return while positioning himself as the center of DC's future. That moment exposed something audiences hadn't fully seen before, and once that curtain slipped, it never really closed again. When the movie fell apart, the plan fell apart with it. Dwayne was quietly shifted out of the spotlight. Not long after came Red One, his big holiday release, and almost instantly, it turned into a punchline.
Now, the reason why this plaque buildup can be so fucking dangerous is because it can lead to heart attacks, strokes, or aneurysms, which is probably why he decided to hop off. Now, steroids in general, especially when taken in high doses, can have an extremely negative effect on your cholesterol, blood thickness, and your blood pressure, which can accelerate plaque buildup.
Online, people dragged it non-stop. Another bloated studio project, all gloss, no soul. Streaming didn't save him either. Movies like Red Notice were hyped as massive hits, but critics tore them apart. That only reinforced the growing idea that his films had turned into empty products, built more on branding and storytelling. And once that perception sets in, it's hard to shake. At the same time, the myths around him started cracking.
Wait, can I do that? I feel like I can. And sometimes it takes people who you love and you respect to say, you can.
For years, audiences bought into the people's champ image without question. Polls even showed nearly half of Americans saying they wanted him to run for president. He was sold as the ultimate success story, the guy who could do no wrong. But that shine has faded hard. More people now see him as manufactured, a carefully controlled persona, not all that different from the character he once played in wrestling.
Voice that was saying, well, again, what if? But what if there is more? And what if I can? And a lot of times it's harder for us to, or at least for me, sometimes to know what you're capable of.
His film career only fed that perception. Despite all the money and fame, Dwayne has never been fully taken seriously as an actor, and that's exactly why these new projects feel different. This doesn't feel like just another role choice. It feels like a full reset, a push to finally earn respect that slipped past him for decades. And the stakes go way beyond movies. His entire business empire is built on image. Terramana Tequila, Zoa Energy, Under Armour, Project Rock. Every piece depends on the idea of a superhuman figure. If that image changes, everything attached to it shifts too. That's why this moment feels so risky and why it feels so calculated at the same time. And that's what makes this moment so fascinating. This isn't just about weight loss. It's not just about a movie role or a new look. It's about identity. For the first time, Dwayne Johnson is standing at a crossroads where brute force and brand power might not be enough anymore.
I was like, what do you mean? You go out, you smile. I want to make sure everybody knows you're grateful. Gratitude of attitude.
For decades, he built his empire on being untouchable, bigger, stronger, louder, always winning. That formula made him rich, famous, and impossible to ignore, but it also boxed him in. Now, with the size gone and the roles shifting, he's betting on something he never fully needed before: vulnerability. That's a dangerous gamble for someone whose entire world was built on dominance, but it might also be the only move left, because Hollywood doesn't reward safety forever. Audiences grow up, tastes change, and legends either evolve or fade. This feels like his last real pivot point, not to be the biggest guy in the room, but to finally be taken seriously in it. Whether this reset saves his legacy or exposes its limits is still unfolding.
One thing's clear though, The Rock isn't trying to be The Rock anymore. He's trying to be remembered.
The Rock has been outed for lying not once, twice, 3 times, but multiple times. For example, you all remember The Rock said, hey, this is my first time in this fast food restaurant. It's my first time eating this burger and fries. It was his third, with evidence.
Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really do read them, and this video actually came from one of your suggestions. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into influencer and media industry trauma, power abuse behind the scenes, and the stories that don't get talked about enough. This story might be over on TV, but online is far from finished, and the next one is already lining up. I'll see you in the next video.